Hi, it's Norman Kochneck here from the Sydney Cricket Ground. And during a match, there's a lot of things you can see at this ground. In fact, there's some great history about this particular ground, which I'm very proud to talk to you about. There are some 9 structures behind me. You can see the ladies' stand and the members' stand. Well, in fact, it's called the ladies' pavilion and members' pavilion. The members' pavilion was actually previously known as the men's pavilion. And on my other shoulder, we have a stand called the Barongal stand. Now, the Barongal stand is not named after a player. It's in fact named after a Barongal tea room that used to exist here back in the 1800s below the ground, or actually at the ground itself. This tea room was run by 2 young ladies who were actually from a cattle station called Barongal out near Bathurst, and they put forward the name Barongal to the people at the time, the actual committee, and suggested the name could possibly be one for the stand. And then they decided from a tea room called the Barongal's tea room, it became the Barongal stand. And the Barongal stand still stands by way of name to this day. Now that's 3 of the 9 stands. There are another 4 that are actually named after cricketers. The Bill O'Reilly stand, the Don Bradman stand, of course. There's also M.A. Noble stand, and the 4th being a specific one that relates to Victor Trumper. Now, Victor Trumper, that stand was a fairly recent addition to the collection. Rodney Cavalier, the SCG Trust chairman, ordained that as a name. Victor Trumper obviously preceded Donald Bradman, but his stand is there on the far side. And that large stand called the Victor Trumper stand has below it an actual statue called Yabba. And that is a person who actually used to scream out during the match, "Have a go, you mug," and he's immortalised in the statue at the very bottom of that area where the Victor Trumper stand stands today. So that is in fact 4 plus the 3, that's 7. There are a further 2 which are actually named after rugby league legends, namely Dally Messenger and Clive Churchill, and that rounds out the 9 stands. We also have a lovely museum behind me. We also have a clock tower that was once used as per the clock to actually view from that particular juncture as well. Great deal of history. Going back in time, they had other stands called the Hill stand, which actually was also known as the Bob stand. The Bob stand because it cost 1 bob to get into the stand. Very interesting derivations. Also was the Sheridan stand, and that particular stand was actually named after one of the original trustees, Sheridan, and that stand got that name. We also had an area called the Hill, the True Hill. It was a grassed hill, and within that there was an area called the Doug Walters stand, or what is now called the Doug Walters Bar, and they were very interesting backdrops of the actual stadium itself. In turn, going back to the Hill stand, that was actually once called the Pat Hill stand. It was actually named after a politician and a chairman, or not chairman actually, one of the members of the trust. They decided after 4 years, from 84 to 88, to have that as the name of the stand, but then they took it back and reverted back to the Hill or the Bob stand. And now, of course, in that place there's the Bill O'Reilly stand. So this stadium has a huge number of very prestigious stands. In fact, the members stand, previously the men's stand, actually men's pavilion I should say, was actually built back in the 1840s. It was one of the top 10 first grounds around the world. In fact, I think it's ranked about 4th behind a number of legendary English grounds. Very interesting enough, Eden Garden is also in that top 10, that's ranked I believe 7th. Very interesting how that history also extends to Eden Gardens, and even Galle in Sri Lanka gets a Guernsey, I think number 10. So yes, this ground has great history. Behind me, as I said, the ladies pavilion and men's/members pavilion, and they are wonderful pieces of history of the SCG. Please come visit one day and be able to see exactly what is here for yourself. Great place to do a tour, and also head down to Bradman. So recommend it highly. These 9 structures that I talked to you about has a lot of history. Come and join me here one day. This is Norman Kochneck.